What's up, everybody? Welcome in to another edition of the Hoops Betting Hour. I am your host, the big man on campus. We are here live Memorial Day, Monday, May 31st. Final day of May. May showers hopefully bring June flowers. It's been raining the last couple of days here where I am, but it's nice and sunny today. Should be a nice Memorial Day, very seasonal temperatures, and we got some hoops as well. So make sure you sit back, relax. We'll break them down here in just a second. As always, we welcome you in. We thank you for watching. If you're checking us out live or on the replay, make sure you check out our powered by Pickswise and FanDuel. Make sure you check out everybody involved. And make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode going forward. Let's bring in our Monday guest. It's Blackjack Fletcher. Blackjack, what's happening? How are you?
I'm great, brother. It's Memorial Day, right? It's a fun day.
Yeah, it's always a good one. I mean, you don't have to give any gifts. You don't have to do anything. Just kind of, maybe you go to a barbecue. You just kind of chill out. It's always nice, too, when you have a week, like when you have a holiday on a Monday, because then when Tuesday comes, for most people, the week's a little shorter. It feels better. You always get happy. Once Memorial Day comes, it's kind of that, the start of summer. And this year, it's fun because, there's something to look forward to again. Memorial Day last year, can you even remember what you did? I don't.
Probably sat on the couch and wondered if the world was ending.
Yeah, there wasn't much to do for sure. But, all right, well, as always, welcome everybody in. Thanks for checking us out. Well, let's do a little recap quickly, and then we'll get into two games. We just have two games today, one in the East, one in the West, one of which is a closeout game, we think. Couple of things from yesterday. Blackjack, the Knicks, disgusting, disgraceful. This offense sucks. I'm so happy this team's going to be bounced. I hate watching the Knicks. Julius Randle's been terrible. He was pretty good yesterday, though.
Yeah,
got to give him some respect.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't really understand your irrational hatred for the Knicks.
I don't have any irrational hatred. That sucks watching them. They don't score. They suck. I'm sick of watching them.
They don't suck. They play a very unappealing style of basketball to watch. But I mean, listen, you and I talked about this, I think, before this series started, that the Knicks defense is obviously very good. I think it was the number one defense in the NBA. But where the Knicks were vulnerable was in the backcourt. And that is going to be a problem when Trae Young is lined up on the other side of the court. And the problem, and I'll grant you this, there's no argument, I don't know how anybody can argue this Knicks team is in the very early stages of a rebuild, right? And this playoff run this year to a 4 seed has kind of, I think, maybe altered the reality of where the Knicks are in this rebuild. Like, they're not close. They don't have a guy who can go and get a bucket when you need one. And Julius Randle, for all that he's done this year, is not that superstar scorer, right? The Hawks need a bucket. Trae Young goes and gets one. He can do that. That's what he does. You see it with the Blazers, with Damian Lillard. You see it with Devin Booker. The Knicks don't have that guy. And when you don't have that guy, you don't beat teams that do.
This team has failed to score 100 or more in 3 of the 4 games. You're totally right. They have to go out and find that guy. We don't know where it will come from, but, maybe free agency or maybe, look, New York, for whatever reason, I always found this interesting when people here would always say, well, no one wants to come to Philly. And it's like, well, yeah. And then like, well, it's cold half the year. And it's like, well, yeah, but what's that any different from New York? People want to go to New York. So, people want to go there. They'll find guys to come there, and they'll get the guy that they need. But you're right. They just don't have, look, God love Derrick Rose, but like he's not, he's a great, scorer.
Yeah.
But
when you're depending on him to be your main offensive punch at this point in his career, you got problems.
Right. They need to hit. They need to hit on, and it didn't really happen with some of the high-end picks. So, I'm not writing off R.J. Barrett or anyone else.
I'm not either.
Frank Ntilikina, that hasn't worked out. I mean, they need to hit on a top 10 pick, and they're not going to get one this year either. So they need to go back to the drawing board and figure something out. That series is almost over. We'll see if the Knicks can't find a way to figure it out. They are back in New York in Game 5, so we'll see. Suns, very nice win yesterday, and what a difference Chris Paul healthy makes. Anthony Davis, look, It's been a ringer with this guy, Anthony Davis. I backed him in 2 prop games, 2 out of the 4. In 2 of those games, he didn't do anything. In the other 2, he was unbelievable. I just can't seem to get it right with Anthony Davis. He goes out with an injury yesterday, and all of a sudden, now your series is tied 2-2. We had people in this chat yesterday talking about how great the Lakers were. This Suns team, don't mark them out just yet. Now you head back to Phoenix, series in hand, and you have an opportunity to take a 3-2 lead without Anthony Davis. They might just win this series and knock out the Lakers. How about that?
I think Phoenix will win the series. I have thought that this Lakers team is not a very good team for a while, and the problem with saying that is half of the time I'm wrong, because when LeBron James and Anthony Davis are fully healthy, they're obviously a very good team.
Yes.
But these guys have been dealing with these nagging injuries now since the second half of this season, and I have no reason to believe that they're going to get through a 2-month playoff slog totally healthy. And if they're out for a week, they're done. I mean, that's all it takes is a week in the playoffs, and you're done. I mean, they're in a spot now with Phoenix where I love Phoenix here. Chris Paul looks like Chris Paul. Devin Booker's playing great. Ayton's doing what he needs to do. Like, this team is playing really, really good basketball. I like the Suns a lot in this series.
Defense has figured itself out, too, a little bit.
Yeah, it has. It has.
Suns now the favorite to win this series.
Which is crazy, because this has been a roller coaster all over the place in terms of odds this series.
I'll tell you what. You have a game. Next game is in Phoenix. That's helpful. You're probably not going to have Davis in that game. I'll be honest, I don't hate taking a little shot here with Suns to win this series 4-2. You basically lay the 1.5 games plus 290. This series is completely flipped because Chris Paul is healthy. Okay, we talked about that yesterday, and we've talked about that since he was not healthy. It was bad luck for them. But if they could get him back and he could look good in some game, and then you have him, you're golden. And that seems to happen. Plus, Anthony Davis considered on top of it. Not ideal.
Yeah. No.
Not ideal at all. A couple other thoughts here. Nets roll, beat up the Celtics. Very high-scoring game. They had basically hit the team total by the end of the third quarter. I mean, this is a high-scoring game. That might have been the easiest bet I've made all playoffs. I mean, the Nets just scored will at the rim. No Robert Williams. You had to figure it was going to be ugly defensively for the Celtics. This series is over as well. It's really just a question of how much it's going to be by in Game 5. Celtics are done. For whatever reason, this team has just zero interest in bigs. They just don't think they can win with bigs, weirdly enough.
I don't understand the Celtics. I've said this now for the better part of this year. I think there is too much individual talent on this team for them to be this bad. I'm tired of Brad Stevens just getting a pass, because at the end of the day, he's won nothing at the NBA level, and he just continues to get a pass on this. This team is too good to be this bad, okay? And I'm not saying that they're a contender to come out of the East this year,
better, you say.
But there is too much talent individually on this team to play this poorly.
Yeah,
I don't get it. And Brad Stevens just gets a pass. Danny Ainge gets a pass because he won a ring 12 years ago. Like, I don't understand. I thought this is Boston, right? I thought the standards were high in Boston. Mm-hmm. Apparently not.
Yeah, I mean, that's been the growing sentiment. I remember when Indiana was looking for a coach of college basketball, they looked at Brad Stevens, and there was reports
he should have taken that job in a heartbeat.
Yeah, there was reports that Brad had been offered $10 million to go coach there, and I thought, wow, that's crazy to not take that. But by the way, speaking of passes, are you going to get a pass for wearing a Tampa Bay Bucks hat for the first time?
I live in the Tampa metro area.
You're a fan now?
Listen, I'm a fan of Tom Brady because he makes me money every season.
No, I hear you. By the way, shout out to you. You've made your bed. A lot of people don't do that.
Are you an animal if you don't make a bed?
Yeah, really, you are. There are some just awful takes by people, but once you hit a certain age, you've got to start realizing life's going to change a little bit. Wake up a little bit.
Be an adult.
Yeah. I mean, you got people on the internet talking about they go to the bathroom and don't wash their hands. Legitimately.
All right.
What world are we living in here?
We live with animals, Jeff. Animals.
Yeah. Crazy. You would think this pandemic would have taught some people things about hygiene.
You would think.
Guess not. Final game. Nice win for the Clippers last night. Blowout city. Kind of kicking myself that I didn't talk about this one on the show. I had a premonition that they were going to win big and even this series up. We counted out the Clippers a little bit too quick. But, I think what's great about this group is they're getting, obviously, good play out of Paul George and Kawhi, but they're getting everyone else to step up, which they have to have. Reggie Jackson started to add something to this. Batum, Marcus Morris. This is going to be a fun series. Maybe this one might go 7. Should be a deep one. Good series.
This thing has 7 games written all over it, and I can't wait for it. Now that it feels like the Clippers have woken up a little bit, I want to see this thing in these next 3 games, because this wasn't a very good game for Luka. It wasn't a very good game for Porzingis. But now it's 2-2. Now if you're Dallas, time to put your foot back on the gas, because you could be bounced out of this thing in the next 2 games if you're not paying close attention. So I think Game 5 is going to be really, really interesting to watch back in LA. But yeah, I think this has 7 written all over it.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Definitely a lower level of participation today on the show, which it is Memorial Day, no surprise. We've had some really good live views lately, so maybe people check out the show later. We only have 2 games today. By the way, show's powered by FanDuel. If you're just jumping on FanDuel, maybe you just added some money to it or something like that, keep in mind, make sure you're checking out the boosts. They've got some good boosts today. You could take the Sixers and Jazz to win, little combined boost. Plus 125. Keep in mind, if you just bet that on your own, Sixers Jazz moneyline parlay, it's 127. So you're kind of flipping that. So if you have, you're just jumping on FanDuel, you just put a little money on. Make sure you check out the boost page when you click on NBA. All right, Blackjack, let's get into a couple of games here. Not going to be an incredibly long show today because we only have 2 games. Let's get to it. Sixers looking to close it out at Washington. Sixers laying 8.5, total 229.5. There are some 9s out there as well. So if you're looking at Washington, keep that in mind. This one is moving, and it's moving fast. It opened 8. Bettors are coming in and saying, look, I have no interest in the Washington Wizards. And why should they? The Washington Wizards have looked completely lost all year defensively. They've looked particularly lost in this series. Given up almost 126 points per game. Philadelphia is shooting 55% from the field. They have an offensive rating over 150. I mean, just wildly crazy. Joel Embiid has been absolutely dominant. There has been no answers for the Sixers offense. And again, I'm not really sure why there's going to be any difference here. It's pretty clear at this point the Washington Wizards are not going to win this series. They have no opportunity, and they know that. You have 2 players, one of which is, let's be frank, say what you want about Russell Westbrook. He's a great player, but he's a bit of a head case, right? I mean, where's his mind in this game? Where's Bradley Beal's thoughts in this game? The ancillary pieces have not played well for this group. I'm laying the 8.5. I played it the other night. I'm playing it today. I have no interest. It's been pretty clear that the Washington Wizards have no shot in this tournament. And they have no rim protection. Joel Embiid, this group, I think they feed off playing defense the way they do. Offensively, Washington's had no success either. Haven't been able to run. And you look at the only time they've had any success in this series, Blackjack, was basically a quarter in Game 1 where Joel Embiid was on the bench.
Yeah.
That's the truth of the matter in this series. I'm laying it with Philadelphia here.
Yeah, I can't argue with you. I'm doing the same thing. The Wizards are toast. This is a double-digit win for the Sixers. I mean, listen, it was a bad matchup, right? I mean, what Washington wants to do is penetrate the lane, especially Westbrook. And what has he met with when he's there? He's met with Joel Embiid and even Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris. The size of this Philadelphia team is just too much for the Wizards. They have no answer for Philadelphia's size, and they have no answer for the interior defense. It's been a mismatch. It ends today. The Wizards are put out of their misery.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's just a bad matchup for them. I think we could all agree it was from the beginning. Everyone's flourishing for the Sixers, whether it's Harris, Simmons, Embiid. Danny Green's making shots. Maxi's played well off the bench. It's just a high level series, and this is it's probably pretty similar, right, Blackjack, to that Milwaukee-Miami game on Saturday. Just kind of they're done. Wizards are done. What's your thoughts on the Wizards going forward? They're just kind of a team that's the 8th seed every year, right?
Blow it up. In the NBA, I never understand these teams in the NBA that are content battling for 6, 7, 8 seeds.
Yeah.
It's not there's no pathway to success there. Either be good or be bad in the NBA. Don't be mediocre. Like the Pacers have made a living out of being mediocre for like a decade. What does that get you? A first-round playoff exit? Maybe second round if you're lucky? Like you're not winning anything. Do what Miami does, right? If it's not working, we're going to blow it up, and in 2 years we'll retool and be back. Like you have to be willing to do that. I don't understand this logic of being stuck in the mud in the middle of the pack. Like there's no value there. Be very good or very bad.
Yeah, it's. I remember, over the years I've talked about that. Just kind of, as you said, in the mud. You're in a not that Washington's a small market or anything, but it's a market that in basketball terms is pretty small. It's not, it's not Philly, it's not Boston, it's not New York. They don't have a rich basketball history there, we could say, as far as their NBA franchise. No. I agree. But, I guess people will say, well, what about, you got to start somewhere, right? We'll see if they can't get players there. But they got to try to be like an Atlanta, where they got to try to get one or two more guys in there, make the right, and I guess they're hoping Hachimura develops into a 3 or 4 and one or two others. But we'll see what they do. They're making the ascent, but you're right. It's hard to compete when you're the 8th or 9th seed every year. Might see a first-half fight from the Wizards. Why do you think that?
No.
I mean, this team is outside of Game 1, have they really fought in any of these games?
That logic would have applied to Game 3 because if you go down 3-0 to the number 1 seed, you're done, right? Like, you're done. Game 4, these guys have made their golf and vacation plans. Like, they know this is over.
Yeah. I got to ask you something, Blackjack. When it comes to – you know what? I'm not even going to bring this up just because it has nothing to do with the show. It's just me being annoying and, getting bothered over something. I'm busy right now. Why are people texting me during this show? I'm busy. And it's my sister who asks the same shit over and over again. Ask my mom. What are you asking me for? I don't know. I don't live with them. I don't know what you're up to. How do I know? Jeff Wortman says Sixers win by 20.
Yeah, it's going to be a blowout.
Yeah. 125, 107, something like that.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. We're both on the Sixers in this one. Best bets at the end. Second game, 9:40 Eastern. By the way, do you like this late night stuff? Would you rather have it 3 games?
I would have rather had these in the afternoon today.
Okay. Yeah, I don't mind it because once you're done, parties are over by 7. You come home, you get this game out of the way, and then you have a pretty good Western Conference game here. Jazz 5.5 at Memphis. Total 225.5. This one is obviously the Jazz have kind of taken over as Donovan Mitchell becomes healthy. Grizzlies got Game 1, but the Jazz have fought back and won 2. One in Utah, one in Memphis. Now we have another one in Memphis. And, great fan base there. Always enjoy their Grizzlies. This team is tough. I don't think we can argue. The Grizzlies have played hard. I mean, they've been good offensively. They've fought for the most part. But the problem that you have in this series is the Jazz are just so damn good offensively. And defensively, I know they didn't play well in Game 2, but ultimately they're a pretty damn good defensive team. They're very, as far as efficiency, top 5 in both. We know how good Donovan is. We know how good he makes this team. But something tells me, obviously this is a series decider. Can the Grizzlies give you one more fight? Can they hang one more time?
They'll fight, but they're just not good enough.
Right.
The bottom line is we talked about the Knicks needing that scorer. It's a shame Donovan Mitchell signed that extension in Utah because he would have looked real good in New York. That's the kind of guy you need, right? And the difference with him back as opposed to when he was injured with this Utah team is night and day. They went from a team that looked kind of hapless offensively to being back to the juggernaut that they were for 3 months during the regular season. He's putting up 29 in his second game back. Conley's giving you 27 in his third game back. Memphis just doesn't have enough to hang with them. They'll fight. They're a tough team. They're scrappy, and they've got good players, but they don't have enough to beat this Utah team. I would lean to the 5.5 here. I do think Memphis can keep it close, but what you talked about, that FanDuel boost parlay, the money line parlay, that's your winner today. Money line parlay, Philly and Utah, that's your winner.
Yeah, I mean, it is a boost. Keep in mind there's a max bet on it. But, yeah, I mean, look, I made this case yesterday. I'm not one of these throw stuff like that out. But, I mean, yesterday with the Clippers and Brooklyn, that wasn't losing. Clippers weren't losing last night.
And neither is this one.
And neither was Brooklyn. But, yeah, no, 125. I mean, if you just lay the 125, both are hitting. As far as this game, though, I'm going to just kind of go with something that I've done with the Nets. I'm going to do here with the Jazz. It's been pretty clear with Donovan Mitchell involved. The Utah Jazz want to go a little bit quicker. Mm-hmm. It seems like Quinn Snyder has made it a point to have this team go faster. And offensively, they've been terrific. I'm going to go over 115.5 with Utah. You look at it in the last two games, 141 and 121. I thought they took their foot off the gas a little bit even in the fourth quarter in that game on Saturday night. With this team, and Mitchell just makes everybody better. So whether it's Bogdanovich or Gobert or even like Royce O'Neal. If Royce O'Neal's giving you 12 points a game, I said this yesterday, you're going to win a lot because he's a very good defender, right? So, I'm going to go over 115.5. I'm confident. I don't really want to guess on whether Utah wins by 6 or 3 or 2 or whatever. Just get over 115.5. I don't even care if they lose. I will say this, though. And I'm going to say this now. I said it yesterday. I think you can make the case the Jazz are the best team in the West. For sure.
Agreed.
I mean,
agreed.
A lot of people, who cares about the, 1 seed the regular season? A lot of people. And I think it's probably literal as well.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you. I think the Jazz are the best team. When healthy, obviously, that's a huge caveat because they were very different with those injuries. But when this team is healthy, I think they're the best team in the NBA. And I don't know that it's particularly close, if we're being honest.
And I will say, though, you ask yourself with the 5.5, is this enough? Because when you look at, I think what you kind of said, they're just not as good. I mean, the Jazz, I thought, played really well, but I thought the Grizzlies played well in games 2 and 3.
I agree.
And they still lost by 12 and 11.
Yeah,
so,
I agree.
I think when we talk about it that way, maybe 5.5 isn't that much. Zadarath, big man looking skinny. Okay, big dog, I see you. Thanks, man. I think Blackjack's looking kind of skinny as well. What, do you want to diet, Blackjack?
No, but thank you.
You're looking all right. What do you got going on today? You doing anything?
The usual Memorial Day crap. Barbecue. Hang out.
Very good, very good. All right, best bet time. Look, 2 games. I'm going with 2. I'll lay it with the Sixers, 8.5. I'm going to take the Jazz team total over 115.5. I just think it's too low. 120s. That's what they've kind of been doing. What about you? What do you got?
I'm laying the 8.5 with the Sixers, and I'm going to take that money line parlay. Philadelphia, Utah money line. Cash it.
There you go. You can bet that at FanDuel. There is a max bet on that, but you can bet it right now under the Boost tab. So make sure you check that out. 1 or 2 more things here, Blackjack, then we will wrap this thing up. It's only 12:25, but there's only 2 games, so we don't have to go deep. Ryan C says Knicks in 7. All right, well, you should go bet that then.
Nope.
I don't think it's going to happen, but all right. So basically, you're telling me over the next 3 games, you think the Knicks are going to win what?
I mean, is Bernard King going to suit up for the Knicks? I don't know what I'm. No, it's not happening. Listen, I'm a Knicks fan. It's not happening. The Knicks might get 1 more. They might get Game 5 in the Garden, but they ain't winning anything after that. Yeah,
and that's where I think you should look. I think Hawks to win 4-2 at plus 180. I think that makes a lot of sense here.
Yep.
But let me ask you, Blackjack, who the hell told you the Hawks would win? I did, because
I didn't disagree with you.
Trae Young.
I didn't disagree with you.
You didn't.
The only thing I disagree with is I thought the Knicks would win Game 1 instead of Game 2.
Blackjack, we have a podcast called The Sit Down. One of your roles in that show is you know a lot about law. You're a legal guy. You're a lawyer. I got to ask you something. The Boston Celtics and the city of Boston have waged charges against an individual who threw a water bottle at Kyrie Irving. Now, let's talk about the facts here. He threw the water bottle. We know. It was seen on camera. But remember, the water bottle did not hit anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Is charging that individual with assault with a deadly weapon one of the most ridiculous charges in the history of law?
Listen, the only reason that that's happening is because we've seen multiple incidents in the NBA of fans engaging in racist, sexist, just generally boorish behavior in these playoffs. And Boston, with the reputation that Boston has when it comes to race, I think that they're going overboard here and trying to.
But what does this have to do with race?
Make a
water bottle. That is nothing.
I mean, he's a white guy, threw it at a black guy. I don't know.
Or
listen, Jeff. I'm sure he yelled something at him too. Yeah. I mean, you've got to be a little bit of a lunatic to throw a water bottle at an NBA player to begin with, because, like, how do you think it's not going to get seen? It's
also very idiotic. I mean, there's no reason to do it. It's some dumb kid trying to be funny. That younger generation, the one kind of behind me, they do a lot of stupid stuff.
Yeah. They just want to get on camera and think that they're famous. Well, now you got a problem on your hands. And listen, ultimately, no, he's not going to jail for this, but it's going to be real expensive for him.
Yeah,
this is going to cost him a lot of money.
Well, I have to ask you. You would agree this is similar behavior to, like, running on the field during a game, right?
It's a little worse, but yeah, it's close.
But similar. It's funny, though, because in Philly, there was a kid that ran on the field here at a Phillies game a couple weeks ago, and every person and their mother was praising this guy. Oh, he's awesome, so funny, and it's like, look, again, the guy threw in the bottle, okay, but that charge is ridiculous.
A water bottle is not a deadly weapon.
Of course not. It's empty.
Not a deadly weapon, guys.
Yeah. But, I think you make a good point. You're kind of setting the example. Hey, if you do this is what's going to happen to you. Now, anybody with a brain knows that he's not going to go to jail over this.
No, but it will be very expensive for him. It's going to cost him a lot of money.
Yeah, and I'm going to guess he's not going to pay for it. He looks pretty young, so I feel like that's apparent.
Someone's going to pay for it, because now you got to get a lawyer. You're going to have to pay all sorts of costs. My guess is they'll probably knock this down if he goes and does whatever pretrial stuff they have in Massachusetts. It's going to cost him, conservatively, $10,000.
Now remember, you're equating this to similar, like a strong arm robbery, where it's not robbery, but if you have a weapon and hit somebody with it. That's like this could be a gun butt,
an aggravated battery.
Yeah, you're equating that to someone throwing almost empty
someone throwing a brick.
bottle.
If you threw a brick, you'd be charged with the same thing.
Yeah, crazy. And keep in mind, in Massachusetts, under law, this would be a felony punishable up to 5 years in state prison.
Yeah, he's not going to jail.
No. All right. Wild. Really wild. Any baseball that I like? Kind of like the Phillies, but I don't trust this offense.
Mets Diamondbacks first 5 under. DeGrom's pitching tonight. First 5 under. The Mets can't hit.
That's very true. I kind of also like the Pirates a little bit at a big dog price. Mike Minor sucks. But I've been really touchy-feely with baseball. Blackjack, any NHL for today?
Yeah, I'm taking the Canadiens in Game 7. Screw the Maple Leafs. That team has allowed Montreal to force a Game 7. And as we all know, Jeff, anything can happen in a Game 7. I will take the team with the better goaltender in Montreal at like plus 165 tonight.
Is Carey Price still the goalie there?
Carey Price is your goaltender in Montreal. I will take him over Jack Campbell in a Game 7.
Plus 180. How about that? Any thoughts on that? Did the Islanders tie it up?
I also am taking the Islanders at plus money tonight. Yeah, the Islanders are a team that sometimes takes a game or two to figure out that kind of counter strategy that they play. And while they played Boston a bunch, Boston's a very different team since the trade deadline and getting Taylor Hall. So I think the Islanders maybe needed to see it up close, but they'll adjust.
All right, here's what I'm doing, Blackjack, in honor of you, okay, because I love you, okay? I am taking 50 cold, hard U.S. dollars. I don't know. Look, I don't bet hockey. I don't care about hockey. I'm parlaying both of those together.
Attaboy.
662.
Nice return.
Let's rock. Shout out Frankie Borelli. We're going to Borelli's if they win. Everyone have a great day. Thanks for watching. Thanks for checking out the show. I'm the Big Man on Campus. He's Blackjack Fletcher. You can find him on Twitter at Blackjack Fletcher. In Fletcher, no E at the end. Wild Twitter name, but that's Blackjack Fletcher.
Character limits, buddy.
Yeah. Check him out at Better Than Vegas. He's doing some great things over there. Check out everything he's doing just by following him on Twitter. We are back tomorrow, same time, same place. We're going over the NBA. Everyone have a great Memorial Day. Thanks for checking us out. Blackjack, any final words? Anything to plug before we wrap up?
Just have a great day, everyone.
Agreed. Couldn't agree more. Thanks for checking us out. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We'll see you here Tuesday on the Hoops Betting Hour.